Bloody hell. Bloody hell. Hello. We'll just see about getting set up. I know it's been a while since we last streamed anything. I'll get Twitch up so I can make sure I can hear something first. Oh, bloody hell. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's alright. I know nobody's going to be here, but yeah. We'll have a quick listen in for a moment, make sure everything's okay. Could probably do with speaking up real quick. If I move the microphone over. Let's see. Gonna make a couple of posts real quick. Probably gonna do one on Blue Sky. I know it's been a little while since I last streamed. The reason for that is I will say I'm quite unwell at the moment, and a bit busy as well. I think a bit busy. Oh, let's just refresh Blue Sky real quick. Let's take a photo, shall we? Very nice indeed. We'll get started real quick. Let's say streaming some Minecraft. Neo Intro Dragon on Twitch. Very nice indeed. Oh, I've just cut my bloody face. Let's just say we're live before starting off, shall we? Actually helps out. Got a bit of water on me today as well, considering my throat is dry to say the least. Not sure how long today's stream is going to be, all things considered. I know I say that every stream. Hold up, I could do with moving. If I move my mic upwards and away, it'll still be far enough away from my mouse. Further away from my mouse and keyboard, I mean, but far away enough from the rest of it. Let's see, I could do with harvesting some of these materials first, I suppose. No, it's been a while since we've last come on stream to play anything. Because, I mean, we tried Wednesday morning. It was either Wednesday morning or Thursday morning. I can't remember how I stream. Because the issue with my streams is I tend to do it around 1 AM. About 1 AM, 1:30 in the morning. So the issue with that, I never really know what day it is. But I mean, I would have just been laying awake playing Cyberpunk anyway, considering feeling tad unwell at the moment. Hell, I don't even know what's wrong with my body at the moment. I mean, at first I believed it to be just exhaustion from. It wasn't a trial shift interview, but it was an interview with further shadowing, if you will. But I don't know. It went well for those that saw my saw my messages and posts about it, because I know I put a couple of posts up regarding it, because the first post was in regards to not streaming one night because I had to be up in the morning for an interview. I think that was Thursday evening, Friday morning, because my interview was yesterday morning. Technically, 2 days ago. It's Friday at 10:30. Friday 10:30. That's the important things you need to know. But I don't know. He went well. It went well, I think, because it wasn't just an interview. It ended up being like a shadow session, I think they call it, where you're shadowing like a couple of members of pre-existing staff, if you will. It was interesting, to be honest. It was interesting how I felt like I learnt a little bit on their systems, what they're doing. But the job roles for stuff like IT support, which is interesting, to be honest. It's something I've looked at before, and it's something that I'm interested in learning. Just for the prime reason, I quite enjoy technology. I quite enjoy looking into it and repairing stuff. And I've got some experience with it, which is pretty good, all things considered. So I don't know, I put my name down to voting, but into applying for the job. However, it kind of went through a period of not hearing anything from them for like a solid month or so. And then they asked me for a phone consultation, phone interview, which I did. And then they asked me for one on Teams, which I did on PC, but the issue is I don't have a webcam. So I did the interview anyway. I did both of them. And then the turn said, it was lovely speaking to you. We'll let you know how it goes. He didn't let me know how it goes. How it went for at least. It was a little while before they told me anything. But then I got a text through like a couple of days ago saying, "Hey, do you want to come through? Do you want to come in? Do you want to have an interview?" And I think that was Monday morning, just been that they asked me to come in, which I turned and said I can't do today. I had things going on. But then I said, "How about Friday?" So they gave me a date. They gave me a time. They said, "You know what? Why don't you come in? Why don't you come in? We'll see you. We'll have a half an hour interview, and then you'll be on your way." It wasn't half an hour interview. It was probably about, I don't know, let's say 20-25 minutes, so close enough anyway. But then they turned and said, "What we're going to do is we're just going to get you to follow a couple of people." Me nervous as hell, and said, "You know what, yeah, fuck it, it's fine." So I followed them, did a bit of shadowing. It was interesting, to be honest. But I don't know. I'm hoping to get it. But either way, that'll be like day work. So I'll still be able to stream at night. But I won't be streaming like every night, obviously, considering I think work would come first. I think most people would think that way. But job first, and it got to grind for some money. I'm looking forward to seeing if I get it, for the prime reason I've got my hopes up, which is rare. I know, me of all people getting my hopes up. But no, I gave the interview like a best shot that I could, which is rare considering this is me we're talking about. I'm not really the type to get my hopes up. Which, because I don't know, the way I say it, if you spend your whole life getting your hopes up, you're going to spend most of your life getting disappointed. Which is depressing. but at the same point in time, like, there's some kind of truth to it. I think I'm also thinking about getting set up with an actual schedule for Twitch, because it'd be useful to have a schedule, for the prime reason that it would let people know what I'm doing roughly, what times, what days. Which, I don't know, I think is a good thing to have. But considering I've got no audience, got no following, it's not 100% necessary, if that makes sense. So what I'll do is I'll look at doing it, I'll look at getting set up. However, I'm not gonna make it an urgent thing. And of course it'll be subject to change, as most things. Because the whole issue is, I don't know what I'd want to stream at what times, I don't know what days I'd be available, and in regards to working in a job, it will be slightly difficult, is the right way I could call it. Well, I don't know, it's something I'd have to look into. It'd still be like a Monday to Sunday type deal, but like a couple of days off streaming. Because sometimes the issue is I end up falling asleep when I turn and say that I'm streaming. Like how the other day I was going to stream, but I fell slightly ill. So I ended up not streaming the other day, obviously. But it doesn't help that the other day I was getting quite angered, if you will. But that was mainly because I had a focus on streaming Twilight Princess, and then the Wi-Fi stopped working, the internet stopped working, and everything kind of went to shit. It's fine. It's fine. We breathe. We ball. Let's see. I mean, I'm just setting up a bit of a brewing area. Still doing me bloody clicks. I don't know. I've been playing a bit of Cyberpunk recently. Started it the other night because, in all honesty, I quite enjoyed Cyberpunk when it came out. However, I don't know. I struggled to get into it, or at least back into it. Just for the primary reason, it kind of sucks at times. And the main reason I say that is because when I first played it, like on release date, because my stupid ass pre-ordered on digital, I was really excited, and I played through it, and I was still excited, and I still enjoyed it. I still enjoy it now. However, at the same point in time, because I know everything that's going to happen, I know like who dies when. You know, there's no element of surprise to it, which is fine. You can still play games anyway. And so I thought, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna play the different storyline. You know, I'm gonna choose a different start. I'm gonna start the game differently, and I'm gonna play the game differently, and we'll see how it goes. And so I do that. I set through the opening. Opening's the same, but that's understandable. You know, I can understand that. Hopefully it'll be different. Nothing changes. Like you pick an entire different opening, which is fine. However, I expected there'd be a couple of changes between openings, considering they give you like the whole choice and ordeal at the start, turning to say, okay, you can start. I think it's either like the desert, the top of Arasaka Tower, or you can start in basically the middle lands, which for my first playthrough I picked the middle lands. I didn't expect anything of it. However, there were some changes. The only change is the fact that you get slightly different voice dialogue options, so you can turn and you can bring up your past, in which I know you get a trophy for like bringing up your past 10 times or whatever. But the thing is, what they end up doing is they don't make any changes to the actual story. You know, you don't get a slightly different starting, you don't get a different beginning, and you don't get to make different choices because of it. You're basically given a set of choices, and if you don't like it, then you're stuck. There's no changes other than the fact that, you know, there's a bit of quote unquote life story, if you will, and that's fine considering the game would be absolutely massive if they went for completely different starting stories. But that's kind of understandable. But at the same point in time, it's pretty disappointing. Just because they go to and say, "Oh yeah, your life is yours. You can make different choices. You can do all sorts," and yet they never give you the proper choice to. Because they give, like in Cyberpunk, they give you 3 different choices, and none of them none of them affect the story. But I mean, there is 3 different choices at the actual end of the game. I think there's 3 different choices, which is fun. It's fine, but I don't know. You get 3 different trophies or 3 different achievements, depends on the platform you're choosing. But there's nothing really about it, if that makes sense. Because I don't know the correct way to put it, but there's an element of choice usually in video games. You know, your choices tend to depict an outcome of some kind, but it always feels exciting because you're in control of it. You know, you get to choose. However, they don't exactly give you the options in Cyberpunk. You know, they just try and say, okay, no matter the opening you chose, you're set to this path, which is disappointing. But then, on top of that, they turn and say, okay, so we're gonna then give you 3 different endings, which is fine. But each ending lasts about 10-15 minutes at most. Which is where the issue comes in. Because although you're given some choice and some options, they don't matter. It's the equivalent of a 15-minute cutscene, depending on what choice you chose. Stone. I don't know. I'm not complaining the fact that there's no ending or whatever, because it's kind of cool. You get 3 endings. I'm not expecting like 7. I'm not expecting like the Undertale RPG version. However, I don't know. I expected a little bit more. I expected a bit more for the game. I'm just trying to figure out where everything needs to go. I should go in tools, I think. I'm just kind of gearing up for the primary reason I know I need to go into the Nether, just because I'm going to try and find some Nether warts. But I'm terrified of going in there, just for the primary reason of what happened before. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I might look at making an animal farm. Take off brewing station, considering we have that roughly mapped out. I know I need to get some nether wart, but I need to make an animal farm of some kind. I don't know. I'm just I'm trying to figure out what I want to do in this world. But it tends to get the stage where if you already have a house, I never really go and want to defeat the Ender Dragon, is what I'm thinking of. I don't know, I've thought about it, never really actually gone and done it, you know, on survival Minecraft recently. Because I mean, young me did it all as a kid, you know, did it all as a kid growing up. It's like I've been there, done that. Don't really need to see it again. It'd be fun to do, but at the same point in time, I don't know, there's just no real urge, I guess, for me to do so. Don't worry, I will do it again at some point. But at the same point in time, defeating the Ender Dragon is not really a need for me. I spent so long as a kid doing it. And I suppose that's just how I am in regards to Minecraft, is I'd rather spend time building, and I'd rather spend time, you know, making other things, if you will. So it's why I spend quite a bit of time on creative mode. Oh, I forgot we had a doorway out here. I think it's been that long since I've actually been on the world. So I have no clue where I am or what I'm doing. I think that's the issue with being ill, is you kind of make a plan of what you want to do, and then you never get to it. You know, because you always like distracted by the things. I don't know though. I don't know. Bit of food for thought, really. Don't get me wrong, it's like I'm still unwell, which is why my voice is a bit fucked. I hope stream quality is coming through alright. To my one viewer watching, hope you're doing well as well. We are finally back after a few days. I could do with turning my actual speaker down, because I don't need it up so loud, to be honest. Especially for the time I'm streaming. Now, to be honest, if I lived on my own and I didn't have work or anything the next day, I would be tempted to do like a full 24-hour stream, just because I think that would be kind of funny. I just got a dead end. At least we made the cave system livable. Did I go down the other way? I don't think I did. I'm not going to collect all the coal because like, look at the durability of my pickaxe. It's gone down a bit. Don't need copper, do we? There's no use for it. They at least made like copper armour. That'd be a bit more interesting. Oh well. Let's see. Just tweaking around with my phone real quick. I can actually get away with sticking some music through my earphones, so I don't have to keep listening to the gameplay. I don't know, it seems a bit weird sometimes if I'm streaming and I'm speaking, but you know, at least before I'd be speaking to myself, because I'd be able to listen to the audio. And there's something a bit weird about it. I don't know, I suppose that comes with practice, doesn't it? Practice and time, I guess. Which would be fun. It'd be fun. It's just a bit weird coming back to it, considering it's been a little while, a few days. Which is it's a bit odd, because I know I've mentioned my mate, friend of mine, Eloise. You know, goes by Hysteric Muse on Twitch. and they used to stream fairly regularly on Twitch, but then now they've just kind of disappeared from it all, I guess. I don't know what happened, but if they ever hear this, like, I do wish them the best, honestly. Like, don't get me wrong, I do miss them because yeah, we've not spoken for a while. I don't know. I wonder if they will hear this one day. I hope so. Anyway, shout out to them if you will. But you know, I just hope they're doing all right. Because it's been a moment since we last seen them, considering it's been a while since we left university, and I suppose it was just before we actually handed in final dissertation we stopped speaking. Which I don't know, it's sad, but we ball sometimes, I guess. I don't know where I'm going, to be honest, but I'm terrified of being down here. Put on some of the Breath of the Wild soundtrack as well, if anyone's interested. Currently listening to like a mixture between Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity, I believe it was. Because at the moment it's a mix between Rivali's theme in Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity, which there was kind of a massive difference between the two. I love both of them, but I think overall I prefer his Age of Calamity theme because it's a bit more. I don't know if wind-like is the correct way I'd say it. It's a bit more light-hearted, but noble at the same time. If you've ever heard it, it's part of the Age of Calamity thing. But it's quite a noble royal soundtrack, really, for Raleigh, considering that's like his whole character, which is fun. I will stream Breath of the Wild on here one day. It's just I want to get the capture card sorted to do it, considering there's quite a bit of lag. Quite a bit of lag doing it with the cheap one I've got, and I would be down to try it again on Cemu. Because last time I tried the Wii U version on Cemu. It had quite a bit of lag on it, but that was with my old PC before I upgraded. Like, this is before I went off to Wales. I know, I'd be down to experiment, and I'd be down to try it. I probably shouldn't build using stone. Bad shit's gonna happen. I'm just gonna stay here real quick. I suppose the good thing about being down here is, although it's basically a pit for the enemies, it's a good thing it's a pit for an enemy. My stupid ass getting hit by a stationary arrow. Let me get a drink so my voice isn't so dry. I've got one, I just can never open it. No. Out of all the Zelda games, I think there's something quite magical about the Breath of the Wild soundtrack. Considering, like, it was a big step for Nintendo to make. You know, it was a giant leap out of their comfort zone. No, I kind of appreciate it more for them, because I know it's kind of like the step they did for Fallout, back when it turned from, you know, the normal 2D or top down to like New Vegas 3, all that kind of stuff. But it's a massive change, and I can kind of respect it. You know, considering I've got not history with game experience, but an element of understanding for it. I don't know, thought it was quite interesting, really, having a look at Breath of the Wild. It's definitely not my favourite. That's still Twilight Princess, but it's up there. And I've been watching, say, like the what was it? I was watching the Game Grumps play through it recently. Tears of the Kingdom, that is. And I don't know, they're having quite a good time with it. And I don't know, what was interesting for me is seeing somebody go into playing Tears of the Kingdom for the first time again. Because I've got experience with Tears of the Kingdom now. I've got a fair amount of it. I've put enough hours in. I think it's on like 120, 130, maybe 140 hours. I can't remember at this point. But I've put in quite a few hours into it. Loved every second. I've still not gone 100% because I've still got a shitload of core rocks to gather. I think I got 650 of them out of 1,000, that is. Unlike Breath of the Wild's 900. But I will go back to it at some point. It's just the main reason I stopped. It was kind of like, I know, it was kind of a mix between burnout and because Pikmin 4 came out, which was another pretty big thing. But I don't know, I love Tears of the Kingdom and I do want to get back to it, but it's kind of difficult considering I've beaten the actual story. But I have that with every game series, where I want 100% a game, but because I've already beaten the game itself and I've got to the credits, it's hard to go back over, which is why I tend to do stuff like side quests and stories partway through, or at least while playing the mainline game, which is fine. Because Breath of the Wild, I think it was as many side quests as I could before going to beat the final boss of it. That, of course, being Ganon. But I think it also got to the point where it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was boredom of the story exactly, because I didn't get bored of it. I'm still not bored of it. But it's more so, you get to the stage where you're that overpowered. You know, you can't really turn back to normal gameplay and say, oh yeah, there's still this sense of challenge. Because you kind of, well, playing games, you kind of find ways to cheese it. Like there's the Korok delivery quest. You know, you could stick a hover bike down if you want to, but you can also stick like jets onto a cart and also be fine with that. Which is what I was doing. I was getting sleds and I was sticking rockets on it. You know, I was just going against my way that way. Which I know it's another way, you know, Nintendo did intend you to play the game, but at the same point in time, not cheap exactly, because it doesn't feel cheap to use those mechanics, but it feels a bit off by the fact that you can get anywhere you want to using rockets. And I mean, I believe I mentioned it on the stream before, but I did have a massive issue with the Tears of the Kingdom trailers when they first dropped. And that whole issue turned out to be the vehicle making. I thought it was a bit of a cheesy gimmick. Just look at Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, you know, that classic game. But there's actually quite a bit of Banjo and Kazooie that transfer over to Tears of the Kingdom, which is kind of impressive, I think, because all things considered, everyone hated on Banjo-Kazooie, you know, Nuts and Bolts, but there was a reason why. And at the same point in time, I can fully understand the reason. I can fully, you know, support that reason, because it wasn't a great game. However, at the same point in time, a lot of it passes on forwards. But I mainly disliked Tears of the Kingdom's trailers, not because it looked like a bad game exactly, but it goes against everything that Breath of the Wild really stood for. But now after playing it kind of works well with it, but I'll explain my reasoning further. Because I had originally thought that Tears of the Kingdom goes against Breath of the Wild, because in Breath of the Wild there's always a sense of emptiness, always a sense of nature. Whereas in Tears of the Kingdom it feels like you've got a similar sense of emptiness in nature, but at the same point in time they kind of big everything up around it, if that makes sense. Because you've got You know, although you've got the horses, it's not as empty because you've got, oh look, giant floating monuments in the sky. But in the same sense and the same nature of it, I didn't like it because although there were horses, you made horses redundant. You know, because yeah, there's a couple of things you do need horses for. However, at the same point in time, a lot of it has been undone by the fact that you can have Zonai technology. You know, because you need fast travel. The fastest way to travel is no longer shield surfing. It's no longer using horses. It's using the Zonai technology. And I think that was the main issue I had with the game, is the fact that although there were still horses, you had no reason to pick a horse over a car. Which sounds stupid, I know, but at the same point in time, it's how it is. It's how they made the game, and I don't know. I guess I was slightly disappointed by the fact that that was how they made it, but I was also kind of confused at how it would work. Just confused in the right way, I think I'd call it. But that's primarily because I didn't know how you'd go about streamlining it. Because there'd be more changes to the menus, there'd be more changes to the control scheme, and of course, at that point in time, we didn't understand what changes need to be made in order to make it work, if that makes sense. But they made quite a lot of changes, and to be honest, I do think they messed up not the system, the menu. They messed up the menu design. But the main reason I think they messed it up was because it had a lot of changes to it, a lot of changes to the UI. And personally, I thought Breath of the Wild's UI was better because everything was neat, everything was tidy, and everywhere had its place. But Tears of the Kingdom goes against that. Although everything has its place, it's a bit too much of a drastic change from Breath of the Wild, if that makes sense. And I get it, it's more technologically advanced, if you will. But at the same point in time, it's not. Because it's only, I believe it was 8 years since Breath of the Wild, which isn't too bad. But it's a bit on the, I wouldn't say confusing side, more so, I don't know how to put it, more so confusing than anything. But the whole issue I had with it, to be honest, was down to the vehicles. You know, cause the gameplay looked fun. However, it looked like a Breath of the Wild fan mod. You know, because loads of them came out when Switch modding became like prevalent, which is cool. I'm personally down for modding, obviously, as I've talked about my Mario Kart mods before. But I don't know, at the same point in time, Tears of the Kingdom did feel like a giant mod at first. Which I don't know, I support it. At the same point in time, I was kind of put off. But I don't know, as mentioned, I think the main reason I was put off was because of the building aspect. I didn't like it because I don't know, it looked goofy. It looked slightly off. And that's understandable considering, you know, the style choices they made. But I don't know, I still stood with it. I still went into it, you know, being all optimistic, if you will. But at the same point in time, optimism can only take you so far. And I must say, I did enjoy Tears of the Kingdom. I enjoyed the gameplay for what it was worth, at least. But I don't know. I know I'm just rambling at this point. It would be an idea to get a second person on this, you know, on this podcast, if you will. It's not a podcast, it's a live stream. But if I could get a second person on here, I can kind of like go back and forth in conversation, which would be fun. Hell, I'd enjoy it at least. It'd be nice to have someone to talk to while doing this. To be honest, I could get my mate on, but he's got work most of the days. Considering I don't really stream during the day anyway, considering, you know, I'd be talking out loud. Oh, sorry, excuse me. But no, Breath of the Wild was a fun game. I still enjoyed it even though I didn't like it at first. But then I grew to love it anyway. But the same thing kind of happened with Tears of the Kingdom. You know, where I didn't like the look of it at first because it was a massive step away. To be honest, I do think the new Zelda's going to, like the next one, whenever that may be, is going to be more traditional. But at the same point in time, I don't know. I reckon it's going to be more traditional for the primary factor that people want old Zelda back, if that makes any sense. And I kind of agree with them, just for the primary sake of I love old Zelda. I love the classic feel of games like Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past, but I still love the different changes they made. But I don't know, I suppose that is kind of important to talk about in regards to games making changes. Because Breath of the Wild made a pretty big change in Zelda by getting rid of temples and replacing them with stuff like, oh, here's some shrines. And I'd kind of like to see a mixture of both of it, where you can have stuff like shrines where they'd work as challenges, but at the same point in time I'd also like to see stuff like temples returning. You know, temples and dungeons. Because the whole purpose of Breath of the Wild was to make it so it's the same Zelda, but it's not. Like they turn and they change Zelda from a linear storytelling game to a world landscape type of game, which I don't hate exactly. However, I do believe they could have eased us more into it. You know, more so saying, okay, here's your type of game with the temple and a storyline, and here's a story, but it's going to be told individually, like when you defeat each temple or something like that, kind of like Finding the Memories in Breath of the Wild. So the temples can still be a requirement in order to get the full story, but you'd be able to fight Ganon anyway. You know, even without any of the temples, it'd just be a hard challenge, like what they did with Breath of the Wild. But here's where I'm coming from. They could have still done that anyway, and they still could have had it open world, non-linear. Who cares? Who cares at that point? You could have had all of that without ripping apart the Zelda timeline. Not timeline. Zelda formula. That's what I was thinking of. Because the whole issue with them is they turn and they take a massive step away from what makes Zelda Zelda, which I thought was cool, but also really stupid at the same time. Good creative ideas, but obviously they came to understand that when it came to stuff like Tears of the Kingdom. And the main reason I say that is because in Tears of the Kingdom, at least, there were temples. You know, temples did return. And then, like, dungeons also existed. There was all sorts of underground caves which people wanted to see, like in older Zelda games. But you see where I'm coming from. You can make changes to a formula without ruining it. I know, I always thought it was kind of dumb that they took the massive step away and kind of said, here's Zelda, but it's not Zelda. I've just had a massive 20-minute rant about Breath of the Wild not being Zelda. I'm breaking one. I'm breaking one. I'm breaking two, knockback one. That's probably the best you can get, really. Come on, efficiency. But no, I will play the Zelda games at some point on stream. I do need to finish Twilight Princess, but I need to do some optimization of that game. You know, make it run alright on this PC. Which it should have done, but the whole issue is, turns out, wasn't the encoder. It was the upload rate being dipped. the upload rate, I mean upload speed, and the main issue for that is Wi-Fi. I know, back to me complaining about Wi-Fi. You know, I almost wonder how you people go on sometimes without me streaming. I don't know. I'm still in discussion with family about getting that sorted, but they still don't listen anyway. So what's the point? But oh well. No well. We're gonna go back into the mines. We're gonna find some stuff. Currently, the good thing is with having a musical playlist on my phone, or at least YouTube auto mixes, auto playlist, whatever it is, autoplay. The good thing about having that is it gives me conversation points. Like, I'm going to move on now to talking about My Hero Academia. Spoilers, you know, anime wise. Say spoilers. I mean, I don't know what I'll talk about in regards to it, but it's currently playing the music for it. It got me thinking, and I thought about discussing with you what's happening recently. But I spent the other day, like before the interview, that is, Friday, watching season 6 of My Hero, because when I saw it, it was a subbed only. It was the once a week episode. Hell, sometimes not even that when they split it in two. But the thing is, I saw it when it came out, and it was a really good season, and I loved it. However, at the same point in time, like, the first half of season 6 kind of flopped, I think, personally. But the second half was so cool, and I've got a bad feeling they're going to go the way of Attack on Titan, where Attack on Titan has like the final season but split into 17 parts or whatever it was. And no, it's not that bad, it's only like 5 parts, I think. But I've got a bad feeling that's going to happen, because he turns out, oh yeah, it's the final war arc. But the whole thing with their final war arc currently is they said on the last episode, the big bad Shigaraki, you know, the big bad villain of the series, his body is going to be quote unquote complete in 2 days. But then that's going to span like 9 episodes. Not 9 episodes, it's going to span like full 24 again. But no, partway through they did mention something that kind of got me. And they mentioned how it's been a year since they started, like the students had started My Hero Academia, if you will. And that got me thinking, it's only been a year between the first episode of season 1, where you see Deku, like, of course, running into the big fight with Kamui Woods and Mount Lady, to him now being nearly full power, depressed, I shouldn't, I can't be a burden, I won't be a burden. But that's weird to think, like, how much had changed in a year. Like, they went through the whole League of Villains coming out, to the death of a few of the members, to all of one breaking out of prison twice, I think it was. And I don't know, it's kind of goofy. At the same point in time, I still enjoy the series. I don't know why, to be honest. Because it's like, it's the most mid-series, and the fan base is awful. Because the whole issue with the fan base is they're just stinky, the fan base. I think that's the best way to say it. Because there's that one video of like the fans dancing around a couple of the other fans in cosplay, saying, "Oh look, you're gay now because we made you." And I don't know. It's kind of the whole fan base. I say the whole fan base. That section of the fan base where it's like, oh, we're going to ship the characters or whatever. They paint the rest of the fan base in a bad light. And the main reason I say that is because, like, they're kids, they're underage. They were 16 when, like, the show started. It'd been a year, great, they're 17 now. Still underaged. But it's like, you shouldn't just turn and say, oh yeah, I'm going to ship these characters and I'm going to like make them do the inexcusable, if you will. And it's like, they're minors. And I know, they're just like PNGs. You know, I know they're 2D creatures, I know they're not real. At the same point in time, it's a matter of principle. You know, you can't just turn and say, oh, it was fine to draw the child because although they're 17, they're not real. But I don't know. They point a negative spotlight on the rest of the fan base, which I'm sure people can agree with me is not a good thing to have. It's like, if you go to an anime convention and you ask like, oh yeah, who's like the stinkiest fan base, 90% of people will turn and say My Hero Academia. The other 10% will turn and point to people like Attack on Titan fans. But it's like, people like me who like casual enjoys where you'll watch it, you'll read it, whatever. We get painted in a bad spotlight just because a couple of fans are just like, yeah, what if we just draw them saucy? It's like, no one wants that. No one wants pictures of children. But no, I really enjoy it. Like the series, that is. Just like to clarify, it is the series I enjoy. However, at the same point in time, I kind of want to hate the series just because of how the fan base acts. And I'm sure that's more than understandable for people. I'm sure everyone's belonged to a fan base with stinky people in it. Like how I'm part of the furry community. Doesn't mean I support like the bad actions some people do. Doesn't mean I support them. It just means, I don't know, I like the artwork. I like, having a character of my own. Does not mean I have to support the negative parts of the rest of it. That's the same with the anime community. That's the same with gaming communities as well. Like, you don't have to tie yourself onto the negativity. Which, that's fine up to a point. If it's like you're part of a majorly group of awful people, you can't really turn and say, oh yeah, but I don't accept that part. Like, that only works up to a certain extent, but as mentioned, it tends to relate to the topic. It relates to the topic of being an anime fan, because a lot of people say, oh yeah, because you like this you must not shower or something like that. And it's like, no, I shower, I wash like normal people. I just like this content. Doesn't mean I'm actively a part of it. But I know I share like cringe furry posts to my Instagram and Blue Sky, I guess now. But that's what it is. Like, I enjoy 90% of the fandom, like the good parts. But that doesn't mean I have to support the negative. But no, it's like, for community stuff, I can relate some of the people in it. I enjoy it because it's a hobby. That's all it really is. I like the artwork. I like some of the suitors. I like some of the artists. That does not mean I'm into certain other things. However, I'm more than entitled to enjoy my own hobby. How I see fit, as long as it's not hurting myself or hurting other people. And I know that's the way I see it. Is you're allowed to enjoy whatever you want. You're allowed to go and have fun. You're allowed to do whatever the hell. You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to express it, as long as you don't go in with the sole intent of hurting somebody. Hurting others. Then you're fine. I saw a chest around here earlier. Well, there's one there, but that wasn't the chest I was talking about. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like that, I guess. That wasn't the chest I was talking about. There was another one. Oh, got an apple. We don't need half of this crap. Kind of want to take the rails. No. Oh, slime. I guess this is one of those mountain environments. The good thing is with slimes, the micro slimes can't really hurt you, and I think they die in one hit. Yeah. You just get irritated sometimes. Good. I needed slime balls. I wanted to make sticky pistons at some point. I know, on the topic of like fandoms and stuff, I have actually been enjoying like the furry fandom more often. Like of course I mentioned earlier, I mentioned like a post online as well saying I've joined Blue Sky or whatever. The replacement for Twitter. I say the replacement Twitter. It's classed as the replacement for Twitter because everyone's moved from Twitter to Blue Sky. But I have found so far at least, it's a much more wholesome environment. I know it's still, starting early days or whatever. However, it's been more fun so far within like 2-3 days of being on Blue Sky than ever was on Twitter. Because I know Twitter was just really full of degenerates, if you will. It's full of not safe for work artists, if you will. And even if you didn't follow them, they'd still like clog up your timeline. They'd still come up in suggested. And personally speaking, I'm an adult. I'm over 18. I'm fine with seeing it. It doesn't not that disgusts or offends me really. But at the same point in time, if I'm in public and I'm looking at scrolling through social media as whether or not it's a distraction or just to communicate with mates on it, you'll find there's a lot of, I don't know how to say, a lot of undesirable attention and undesirable posts on there that I might not exactly want to see at that point in time exactly. That's probably the nicest way I could put it. In actual fact, I don't want to see your privates while I'm out in public. Oh god, I knew he'd follow me. There's been something about this world, I'm not sure if it's one of the updates or whatever for Bedrock, but mobs just see you from further away and they keep their attention. But anyway, it's like the difference is if you go on Twitter in public, you're more than likely to see someone's undesirables in public. Which was always difficult on something like a public train. Have with Blue Sky, at least because my follow base is limited, if you will, it makes it slightly easier to not look at the undesirables. And the main reason I say that is because there's less people posting it, there's better filtering, and there's better controls, if you will. I know I say if you will all the time, but whatever. There's better controls. So you can totally say, okay, if someone did post, say, like, not safe for work content, you can just turn and say, either don't show it at all, or hide it so I have to press show button in order to actually show me. Personally, I've got it set to hide, considering I'm going to be joining a workforce again soon. And if I'm in public, I don't exactly want it popping up. It's like there's some artists I follow that occasionally, rarely if you will, rarely post that kind of stuff, in which I follow them because I enjoy their artwork. Doesn't mean I want to look at that stuff, if you will, but because I like their other artwork they do, whether or not it's like for a show I'm watching currently or I'm interested in, or if it's like furry artwork, wholesome furry artwork. I like seeing it. It's nice to have a look at. But then at other times that same artist might turn and post something slightly indecent artwork wise, in which fair enough, all for the grind, all for the rise and grind. At the same point in time, not while I'm in public, thanks. But don't get me wrong, I can understand the grind of an artist. How especially with the furry community, a lot of people turn and say, here's a fat sum of money, draw me my character. And a lot of the time as well, in regards to that, there's a lot of fursuiting. In regards to fursuiting, that is, it's wealthy. But that side of the furry fandom, I would say I'd class it as a luxury. It's a luxury part of the fandom, because obviously you can get away with being, oh yeah, I'm a furry, but I don't have a fursuit. Does that still make me a furry? Because people don't say, oh yeah, I just like the artwork, but I don't have money for a fursuit, or I like the artwork, but I don't have a character I either relate to or like the design of. That's fine. You still class yourself as being a furry in that case. And obviously I'm going to say it now just as like, not a point of view, but like an aspect of it. A lot of people get furries and therines, I think it's pronounced. A lot of people get furries and therines mixed up, which is kind of understandable. Like, people, don't get me wrong, I'm not pretending to know everything. I'm not pretending to say I know the full extent if I get something wrong. But Therians are like, all animal people, walk on all fours, go running in the woods, whatever. If that's wrong, I apologise. You can let me know in the comments if you like, or understand or whatever, and I'll acknowledge it if I see it. If not, then I apologise anyway. But like, Therians are always like, oh yeah, walk on all fours, run in the woods, have a good time, prance as a fox, if you will. Furries tend to be brightly coloured animals, Say keyword is tend to be. You'll find people with like realistic suits, or like animals they've got a keen interest in, or keen design, or like me. So take Neo for example. If you've seen him, then good, you know what the hell I'm talking about. If you've not seen him, that's also fine. And that you can find him on my Instagram, which is also like Neo the Duchy, or now Blue Sky, which is also Neil Angel Dragon, I think. Let's say that. I don't know off the top of my head. But like, take Neo for example. He's like a brightly coloured thing called an Angel Dragon. Dutch Angel Dragon. Dutch Angel Dragon. I don't know if there's a difference personally. He's a Dutch Angel Dragon. I got him I made him myself a few years ago. I think about 4 years ago now. 2? No, not 2. because I did myself a new ref sheet for a second. Maybe 3, maybe 4. But I made them maybe 3, maybe 4 years ago. And I know it's cringe of me to say, I know, but like, dude's super important to me. Like, Nia will always be my main character. But if you take a look at Nia, for example, although people can have like realistic, based on real life animal states, Nia is like a brightly coloured mythical creature, where it's like a mix between a horse and a dragon. Which is, I'm going to say, it's like the weirdest combination of animals you could think of, really. Because if you ask like somebody to combine like 2 animals, high chances people won't say dragon and horse. They'll be like, oh, what if you do like a fox and a dog, or dog and a cat? Cat dog. But then you look at, I think the original, I think I already know. The original creator of Dutch Angel Dragons is Eno. Also go by Telephone. Like, they are the original Dutch Angel Dragon, which is really cool. But I don't know. I took inspiration from them because I love angel dragons as a species, but they're not realistic based creatures, really. Like, I know they've got their own lore and stuff, which make them slightly more realistic than most, considering like there's certain elements wants you to stick to, which is fine. It's cool. I respect it. I don't think angel dragons are closed species. However, they do set to like a following standing. But one of the rules is like, oh yeah, you can't really base them off, say, like digital devices, because that's kind of the owner's MO, I think it was. Because like they've got, I believe, them, and I think their partner, it's either partner or friend, they have like multiple angel dragons they own, where you've got, say, like radio and then there's telephone. And there's like the 2 that I remember off the top of my head, at least. I don't know, but it's like you find with furries and the furry fandom, there's loads of different creatures of all sorts of different like capacities, if you will, and that's why I'm mainly part of the fandom. Is that because I love the creativity of it, and I love being a part of it, really. And hell, I'd love to get a Neo suit one day. Love to. It'd be like a dream of mine. But back on the topic that I actually started talking about, a while ago now. The thing is, a lot of people will turn and say, oh yeah, I'm a furry if I don't own a fursuit or whatever. Yes, if you want to be, go for it. Because the way I see it, at least, the way everyone sees it really, is you can be a furry with or without a suit, because that suit itself isn't a necessity. The suit itself is like, I don't know, it's a luxury item, really. Considering they're expensive, they're hard to make. Most of the time you have to commission someone in order to get them like properly made, which is fine. Like, don't get me wrong, I see no issue with that. Somebody found a market out there, someone started charging for it, and because of the amount of time and hours and amount of material it goes into, because there's getting a bodysuit made, there's different degrees of having a fursuit. Because there's like mini, where it's like a head or something, just the head I think is a mini, and then there's a partial where there's like feet, paws and hands and tails and all sorts, which is really cool to me. I love seeing it. It's such a creative fandom. But then of course then you have like the full bodysuits, where then you need to make a cast of your body, you need to make all sorts of measurements. And I know the joke goes around a lot, but I'm going to say it here anyway. It's basically a walking carpet. Because these big mounts of fur that is just sticking to your body, really. But it's so cool and it's so creative, the things you could do with it. Because, say for example, with Neo, he's got the chocolate dipped arms and legs, and it's got the splash of the chocolate going up like the dots of them. You know, same goes for his tail as well. And I don't know, I think it's so creative what people can do. And I know it's like all tooting my own horn, because of course, you know, I'm the original owner and creator of Neo. How I made him before, like getting with my last ex, I believe, not too long before. Actually, technically yes, technically no, and I'm going to explain why. But I made him a while ago. I love him to bits. I know he's not real. You don't have to tell me that. I'm not like deluded or anything. But he's a nice character. I've made so much artwork for him because I love him to bits. I just think he's cute. But I'm gonna like speak all origin story, not really origin story, but origins of, if you will. But the origins of Neo, really, because I made him a while ago, whatever. But he was actually a thing called a fennec fox. You know, fennec foxes are real. Like, I'm not gonna bullshit you. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. You know, fennec foxes are real. They're a real creature. I'm gonna box myself in real quick. I need to check Twitch, make sure the stream's still going. But fennec foxes are real. Neo used to be one called Cream. You know, he was a hell of a lot different, if you will, because he had stuff like purple eyes, and you know, he was cute. He was sweet. In which he didn't have wings or anything. He had a large bushy tail rather than like Neo's more streamlined tail now, if you will. But he still had like yellow belly. He had yellow paws rather than like spotted paws now, which is cool. He still had his waffle ear, but he had white hair instead of like dark pink. To be honest, his hair was purple as well. I'll say, actually no, his hair wasn't purple. His hair was white before turning to darker pink. That is now, and his eyes were purple. His eyes were purple, I meant to say. But also, that was Cream. Like, he had purple eyes, white hair. He was pretty close to Neo, but he was pretty different. Like, he was a good amount of change from Neo. And to be honest, I much prefer Neo now. But I believe he went from a fennec fox to, I know he went to a canine for like a matter of days. But that was just while I worked on his actual new ref sheet, which I loved. I had for a year, I think, and at that point I was addicted to making Neo content, just because in my life where it wasn't positive, if you will, it wasn't a positive time for me. But going from such negativity to making something that brought me such joy and brought me so much love and inspiration in my life. I know it's cringe to say, don't get me wrong, but I went from like big sad to big happy just because I made one character, and I loved it. I loved every second of making Neo, and I know I discussed it with I'm going to say their name, and just so I don't have to keep saying, oh yeah, my ex, but someone called Jess. But they're who made, well, I say who helped draw Neo from my base design that I came up with. They drew the first Fennec ref, like while I was not learning to draw, but learning how to get better with it, considering I do what I'd use now with like keyboard and mouse. I did back then and I do now. But Jess did help. She helped quite a bit, really, because she drew the equivalent of a base for Cream, which was cool, and I appreciate it. But I don't know, they, as much as I love like Fennec Foxes and stuff, I don't believe Cream suited Fennec. And Cream, I don't know, Cream was like the most basic, boring name you could get, really, for like an ice cream themed persona. You know, like I always knew I wanted an ice cream themed one, but then I went with Neapolitan, which then became, well, which was then Cream, really, because Cream was always a Neapolitan. But Cream was a basic name, so I wanted to change it. But that came with, I say, version 2, if you will. Yeah, it is version 2, but like version 1 of Neo, if you will. But technically, because Cream was Neo, it'd be version 1 codename Cream, if you will. If that makes sense. Because the thing with Cream is Cream turned into Neo quite quickly. But the first Neo breath I had, it only lasted a month, I think. Which isn't horrible. It isn't a horrible amount of time having a month. Like, while you're still trying to figure out the character. But I kind of, as soon as I saw Cream 1.0, I fell in love with Neo. I fell in love with the idea of him. Because he's just a cute character, and it's like, I've been given so much gift art, and I've gotten so many commissions of him as well. And how I used to write stories about him as well. I know it wasn't that long ago, whatever, but I used to write stories in regards to stuff like Neo and, my friends Sonas as well. Like my good friend Chip Factory. Well, I say Chip Factory, they were Chip Factory. I think it's the Crafty Cob now. But I still call her Chip, And I think it's kind of sweet, or at least they've called me sweet before for still calling them Chip, because it's like something only I really do. Considering people either call them by their name or they call them by their new handle. But I don't know. They're a sweet friend of mine. They've got a few personas of their own. Like they've got Cheesecake, which is also a Dutch angel dragon, like Neo. And then they've got stuff like their Sona called Meadow, who with Meadow, I believe they're a Manokет. They're gorgeous Sona as well. They both are, really. I don't believe she uses or talks about cheese as much anymore. But cheese is actually the main. I say cheese. It's Cheesecake is their Sona, but I call them cheese a lot just because it's shorter than saying cheesecake. Bit of a mouthful. But the main reason we ended up bonding is because I believe they'd had it was either a free giveaway or like free art whip or something like that. A YCH or whatever the hell you'd want to call it, really. But they had a whole thing. I think it was a free one. Can't remember if it was a free one or a commission. Who cares at this point? But I got in contact with them about it, and I explained, oh yeah, here's my new Sona Neo. They're an angel dragon as well, like yours. And we started talking from there, really. And since then they've become such an important friend to me. Which I don't know, it's nice to think about. Because we've gone from just two strangers on the internet having two dessert themed furries, to talking basically on and off near daily at this point about anything, really. I mean, how they asked me today about coding stuff for help. So, but I think that's really sweet, personally, because we've both come far. Don't get me wrong, we both have. But it's been a while since I first met them, and it's amazing to see how far we came. because I met them during the start of my second year at uni, which, you know, sounds cringe, but it's an important time for me. So having them along for the ride for that important section of my life, it's just been amazing, really. But I know it's been really sweet having them along for the ride in my life. And if they're ever hearing this, I appreciate them. But we mainly got into talking because of how similar Neo and Cheesecake are. And I don't know, I see it as something that's quite important to me, and I've got a feeling it's quite important to her as well. But I don't know, it's quite sweet, I think. At least I call it sweet. But I don't know, I call it how it is, really. But I love talking to them. I love talking about them just because they've done so much for me, you know, in my life, and how they've given me so much support. And it's all been important to me. But I love how one friendship started just because we're both furries and our personas are quite similar. Like, it's mad to think about that we started talking just because of that alone, and how much it's grown from there. But I don't know, if they do ever hear it, then I do hope you realise that you're important to me, Chip. But I don't know, regardless, it's always nice to have friends who are into similar things or part of the same fandom as yourself. Because like that's not the only reason we're friends. We grew on like a different basis. We learned more about each other. But it's stuff like that that makes like solid friendships that will last like forever, if you will. I know it sounds cringe of me to say, oh yeah, it's always nice to have friends. I know there's someone who became so important to me from the basis of it. Like, the furry community is how we became friends. But no, stuff like that's important to me, considering I know it's stupid to say, but stuff like the furry community has had a massive impact on my life, considering a lot of the people who I still talk to came from that community. So a lot of people, like about 4 or 5 of my friends, out of 7 or 8 friends. But I don't know, for as cringe as it is to say, I love it. I love having friends from the community. I don't know, it's goofy, but like sweet at the same time. I think, at least. But I'm all for saying cringe shit and like on long streams, just because that way I can turn and say I have no regrets for what I said. I said an interesting conversation. Or hell, even if people don't think it's an interesting conversation, I don't care. It's interesting to myself. And because it's interesting to myself, I'm having fun discussing it. Oh, speaking of Chip, they've just responded to my message. But I don't know. I love them dearly. They're like a great friend of mine. But to be honest, I think that about a fair few of my friends. Just for the primary reason of it's like, if you have less friends, that's not the important thing. Like, it's not important about how many friends you have or friend count. What's important is that those friends are important to you and that they're like loyal friends, rather than just people that like chat shit about you behind your back. But I don't know, she's a real one. I know it's like if I get tired or unwell, I talk about like cringe shit. Like, oh yeah, the power of friendship. Like it's an episode of My Little Pony or something, you know. But I think that's an important way to think about it. Is it's not about the amount of friends you have; it's about, you know, how loyal they are. Also, I've learned not to be afraid of swearing on like Twitch, as long as I don't do it like extensively, then it's fine. You know, as long as I'm not dropping F-bombs every 2 seconds. Remember, ponies, you've got to be loyal and have hearts. Jesus Christ. I know we've not done much work on the house, but you know, I mean, other than this section today, but we got so much iron. How we got a lot of copper as well, which we don't need. Actually, I could do with getting some more coal for torches, but that doesn't matter. Who cares about housework, you know? We'll stick you there and we'll make 40 torches, shall we? I just spent a fat like rant talking about my mateship. I suppose I better respond to her. So just had a fat talk on stream, shall I say? On stream about, should I say, about a fat talk on stream about furries. And did talking about Neo's origins, if you will. And shit like, shall I say? I don't exactly want to say, oh yeah, I've just been talking about you on stream for the past like 20 minutes. Well, has my audio dipped? Just give it 2 seconds to catch up. We've had 8 frames. Oh, it's fine. Audio's catching back up. I know Neo's important to me. He's an important character. But, you know, there's only so much I can rant about him, I suppose. You know, before people start getting irritated. Actually, let's see. To-do list. We want a new list. Let's see what's going to do. Let's put down tool room, shall we? Because in this tool room, I need stuff like grindstone, sawmill. I don't know if that's what it's called in game. We need furnaces in it rather than down here. We need crafting. We need crafting tables. Oh, I don't know what it's called. Wall mill, whatever it's called. And we can do with getting a map table, just for the prime reason it'd be nice to have Just me sat here remembering that I have things to do in the morning. Yeah, I need to get ready for more interviews at some point, because although I don't know what the best way to say it. Although I think I've got the job in the bag, I want to be prepared. You know, in case I don't have it. Oh, I suppose it would help to get it off crafting. What's it called? Cutting tape? Stone cutter, isn't it? Stone cutter. 3 stone and an iron. No, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, my whole issue really is positivity. But at the same point in time, I'm fine in regards to my positivity, because although I'm not the most important person, for God's sake, but although I'm not the most confident person, I'm optimistic enough in the right ways, I think. But anyway, we have the grindstone already. We've got the stone cutter. The whole main issue I have is I can't remain positive about myself. I could be positive about anyone else and about anything else. Like you can turn and say, oh yeah, I'm going after this job, but I might not get it. Then I'll turn and say, nah, surely you've got it. You've done well enough. You've done your research. You've applied. You've got your CV all ready and set up. However, if ever it came to me, I'm just like, no, surely it'd be someone else. Surely it's not me. Which is negative, I guess. Why have I put that in there? It's like, tell me anything else. Or try and say you should be positive for these reasons. But then I can never be positive about myself, which is mad. It's stupid. It's a loom, not a wall mill. But I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. I say table. We need a couple of things. Let's see. It's a cartography table. I was never going to remember cartography table. What's a fletching table? Ignore all the typing, it's just some planning stuff out. I do an awful lot of planning for such little work as well. Fletching table, I have no clue what that's for, to be honest. Smithing table is 2 iron. It's fine, we got over a stack of it today. Smithing table, cartography table. Let's spell cartography. But we've done smithing. We've done that. We've got the loom. I probably don't need it, but we're going to make another crafting table. Furnaces, crafting table, loom, cartography, smithing, fletching. Oh, just 2 paper. See, it's like as simple as that. hate being dyslexic sometimes. Like I always end up misspelling words or like misspelling or mispronouncing stuff. God damn it. I always grab more like potatoes and resources whenever I walk past. Well, I say whenever I walk past, it depends how much work I've done in the other rooms. Because if I'm in the same area, stuff's gonna grow. It's working kind of slowly, this machine. I'm tempted to build a second one over there, or perhaps in the wall. And I think I'd build it in that wall, if anything, considering there's more space that way than there is that way. Because the main reason I have that corner bit there, to be honest, is why I've done it on that corner as well, so it evens out slightly, is because that leads into the stairway going up the side. I know I need to sleep again soon, because if the moment I step outside I'm going to be attacked. I already know I'm going to be attacked if I walk outside. No, it feels weird moving these already. But basically what I'm going to be building at the moment, just before I actually think about building an animal farm, I might not today considering I'm still like healing from the ill. That's just the best way I can say it, really. Heal from the ill. Ill? Ill. I don't know. I at least wanted to do like a shorter stream today, even if it wasn't like the longest. I'd much rather stream at least once and be honest about why I was away. I'm just going to blame my mate Coral for my illness. And I just said illness, but that's because I said it earlier just for clarity's sake. It's a joke, just because it sounded like I mispronounced it earlier, so you know. I think this is the right place to build the workstations. Slightly out of the way, to be honest, so I might end up moving it. Let's see, because we've not got an overly massive amount to stick in here, but we've got a decent amount. I do apologise, I know you guys can hear the clicking, but that's because I've turned off what you call it, noise compression, just because that led to popping whenever I spoke. So I think I'd much rather have it turned off than on but irritating everyone. Let's see, we can do something we learnt last stream, with sticking torches underneath. That wall's looking fine, it's just the rest of it that looks like shit. That's another thing in regards to my positivity I mentioned earlier. Very hypercritical of myself, which isn't a good thing. A wee ball. Let me get rid of the water real quick. It's not a horrible thing. There's that gap up behind it. Makes things a bit easier building wise. Let's see. I know we don't need the cobblestone anyway, but every little helps, I guess. Get rid of those. One more flint as a replacement for earlier. That's slightly positive. Oh, spooky Minecraft noises. I do like people can definitely tell I have certain special interests, such as like dropping massive Zelda facts during the Twilight Princess streams. I think it's kind of interesting, to be honest, kind of funny as well. Let's see, what do we have? Just spare stone. Let's see, wrong item. Let's see. Let's make another furnace. Never use it, but I'd much rather have it than not have it. So the grindstone, sawmill. Oh yeah, I forgot you need to, if you want it facing the right way. It's not even the right way, you're supposed to have it the other way. We're going to move the grindstone, it doesn't look right though. We're probably going to expand it further that way, considering design wise. How much do I have on me? I have 4 normal tables and I have a grindstone. Which is fine. Let's see, remove that. I think that looks just fine enough. Oh, you know what I could do though? I could have a look, see if I can get a lantern. I should have some lanterns. Just because I think the main thing that would draw this all together is a lantern in the ceiling, maybe a carpet. Oh, I've got a spot on my neck and it kills. Respond or reply to a message. I do apologise, I know I shouldn't be responding to as many messages while streaming. Just end this last one and then my phone can go back on silent. Oh, I got that sore spot on my neck and I moved my head and it killed. Anyways, let's see. First things first, it'll be the lantern. To be honest, why would I go anywhere for a lantern? I think this is the recipe. Yeah. Windows G. I think it's Windows G. There we go. I always make sure to do my screenshot while playing the game, just because it's good for me to get that sorted while playing. Oh, what am I doing? Where's it gone? Usually there's a button for screenshots and screen captures. Oh, where's the button for it? There. Industry. The button for taking the screenshot is missing. Which is never good, because this is my sole way of taking screen captures. I know, but it looks like just a boring screen. Right click, sort by dates, please. There we go. See, the screenshot appears there. It appears in the files, but it never appears in where I want to do. You know what I need to do, and it's not that interesting. It's not what you think it'd be. It's not the Animal Farm still. Oh, I've taken my bloody helmet off. Actually, I could start making the diamond armor, considering I've got 20, which means I could probably get half it done. I could get the chest plate done. Chest plate, leggings, and boots. I think leggings is 7. Yeah. Boots is 4. Leggings is 7, so 11. You got 8 for the chest piece and 19, and then I'm partly there for the helmet. Because it'd be nice to have it, considering it would make for a nice armory section, which is probably where I'd move half the things from the tool room. Because I've got like farm and then room. Oh yeah, I forgot you can't go back. Bedroom. Farm and enchant. It's to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bedroom is north. We'll go farm and enchant. Hello, you gonna type? It did this the other day. Ugh. So it does it sometimes where you can't use keyboard. You can't press escape. So I press enter, I type, it doesn't do anything. I press escape, it doesn't let me out of here. Only if I click off the actual sign. That's something that I need relogging probably. Take this farmland sign off. See, I can't type. I'm gonna relog the game real quick, just because I'll forget to do this later, or like in another stream. Oh bloody hell, how time flies. It's been 1 hour 50 minutes since we started streaming. This might not even work. Yeah. It's just something about it. I'm going to Google it. Minecraft Bedrock. Minecraft Windows 10. Can't type in signs. I mean, it cleared on its own after like a relog with the word last time. Is there a way to turn the profanity filter off on Minecraft? Apparently you can do it on signs. Apparently it's an issue since 1.19, which is obvious. Just 2 seconds, gamers. Let me just work this out. I don't realise it seems to be a memory issue. And there's only a couple of people in the realm, they work fine. But I'm not on a realm and my memory's fine. Because I've got bloody 48 gigabytes of RAM. Change RAM usage. I wonder if there's a way to change RAM usage. Let's see. I know it's weird to have 48 gigabytes of RAM. It's because I've got like, I think it's 32 and no, I've got 216 sticks and 2 8 sticks. Yeah. I'm currently opening the Minecraft launcher just to have a look, because apparently there's a way to allocate more RAM, which might be an issue. It might only be using like 2 gigabytes, which, considering it's got onto like a big RAM, bigger game, if you will. Oh, it's doing an update. That's fine. We'll try one last time. No. I suppose that could explain why. Because we actually, I don't know which is better really. I'd have one here of like, oh yeah, I forgot we can't. I'd have one there to say brewing enchantment. Brewing and enchantment. Pet cave. Then we want a sign here. We still can't. Because there'd be one for the nether room and then one going to down here for the crafting room. Pretty nice looking room, if I do say so myself. Oh, see, my stream keeps pausing on my phone and I keep thinking it's an issue with the stream itself. But it's because my phone can't connect to the shitty Wi-Fi. It's like a Wi-Fi provider issue. Provider? Supplier, I mean. To be honest, I don't think streaming is going to last that much longer, just for the primary reason I'm still unwell. Fishing rod. I make another fishing rod. I was going to use it for something, didn't use it. I like how I go and make more paper. I don't need to make more paper. Paper isn't an issue on this world. Hey, we made another bookcase. Bookshelf, I mean. I keep calling them bookcases. Oh, I think even more on the notes I put bookcase. Yeah, I put bookcase. It's a bookshelf. I know there's no difference, but you know it matters to me. Nature, potato, carrots, seeds. I'd count paper as nature, just because it is. Gravel in the gravel chest, cobble in the cobble chest. We'll keep some cobble on us though, it's always important. It's always nice to keep some cherry on us as well, a bit of cherry wood. I do love the cherry wood. It's what I'd make the woods out of. See, the main reason I want signs is because this world has gotten on the big side. Not even the world. This cave system has become more advanced. Like, hell, in today's stream alone, we've expanded the brewing section, so there's a space there for like nether warts. We've, of course, got a bookcase. We've had a look at the wolf's den. We've made the tool room. Let's see. Another reason I wanted cobblestone is because eventually at this point I want to make like pillars, archways, but for the time being it looks like shit. I just realised I said eventually at this point, not what I meant to say. I think I can say that in the nicest way possible. It looks like shit. I mean, it's my world after all. If I couldn't say it on my world or any other world, then like, what's the point saying it all, you know? Not what I meant to say at all. At all. My mind's just gone to shit. It's gone to mush. Wait, have I just completely run out of smooth stone? Bloody hell. How have I run out of smooth stone? Also, the good thing is, I'm probably going to build the animal farm, obviously, on a later stream. But I've got a lot of cherry wood. Because that's 5.5 stacks. Considering 16 logs make a stack of planks. And there's 4 16s and 64. So, you know. Let's just say 5 3/4. 5 3/4 stack. Let's see. Me doing bloody maths on my channel. Sleeping through this night. I was wondering why I said that. As far as I'm aware, it never used to say it, but then again, it shows how much attention I pay. Oh, can my phone just connect to the Wi-Fi? It's overheating as well. But apparently my Wi-Fi is connecting to 3G, which is not good. Not good, I'm sure. We'll do a bit more planting and then I think we might actually wrap it up for today's stream. I know it's gone from like 7-hour streams and dipping. But like, that's just because I run out of things to say. I get tired now. I haven't got tired before, but like, at least with streaming then, it was in like, I don't know, I say it like in a really narcissistic way, I think. But what I'm meaning is more exciting because it's the starting of streaming. But then again, I still think this is exciting just streaming like I am today. Because it's chill. It's chill and it's fun. The only thing is sometimes I forget stuff like that, stuff I want to say, and I'm ill anyway, and I know it's just an excuse, you know. And that's how you find cactus. So for some reason you can't put cactus next to each other. Anyway, I hope everyone's having a nice stream so far. Wait, is the Minecraft launcher opened? Oh god, that's playing You Say Run really loud in my ear just because the stream crashed on my phone. Because it's not connecting to my Wi-Fi. So because the stream's crashed on my phone, it is what it is. They mentioned I can change the RAM usage on the launcher. Let's see. There's realms which I've never used. Joinable. Cats, we are the cats. Expired. When the when the hell's that? I've added Neo the skin to the library. Give him the migrated cap. Cap? Cape. Actually, in regards to caps, it's quite interesting. I've got everything booked now in regards to graduation, which is quite interesting. Run the default Minecraft launcher and choose the version you want to play. So latest release. Go to tabs to installation, which is fine. If you mouse over to the release version you want to play, there'll be 3 dots appearing on the right side. There isn't, because the installation file is just where the game's installed. See, this is probably like for old launcher. Give recommended requirement 8 GB of RAM for Minecraft. I don't know if it's possible, in all honesty. Use beta version of the launcher, why not? Why the hell not? Counts is fine. About is fine. Huh. Shows the bootstrap version. It's interesting. Usually companies don't really go about saying, oh yeah, this is the version of bootstrap I have. There's a Minecraft preview for Windows installation. I don't know what that means. I suppose that's in case you don't actually pay for Minecraft. But why wouldn't you? It's a good game. Just why wouldn't you pay for Minecraft? I mean, I suppose piracy is like the way, but you're not going to get access to the servers. So how are you going to play with your really real friends, I guess? No. I do want to get lily pads at some point just so I can stick in the middle, just because I'm always terrified of falling in, really. Oh my god, I could edit that. Does that mean I can edit the other ones? Yes, brewing. I think I'm going to block up that enchantment wall and I'm going to stick something else there. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, 4. We'll stick one that way as well. Dog pen. Dog pen. Alpha. I don't pissing know. I'll probably stick a gate across here. I don't know. Nether portal, I guess. Tool room is, technically speaking, it's to the left, but here it's to the right. I can always change these signs later, like if I ever stick something across there. But I'll end up forgetting where all the tool rooms have gone. Oops, didn't mean a question mark. Or I could stick some fences across the top there and stick the sign on it. That'd be cool. The tool room. This is the tool room. This is all the tools. And that's the nether. To be honest, I think that's the best looking nether portal I've built for a while, because it's so basic, but it's also so complicated. Listening to a song called, I think it's called Sandbika, however you pronounce it. It was used in a couple of episodes of Kill la Kill, which is interesting. For the primary reason, it was only used for a couple. You know, like you'd think it'd be used for, you know, a few more than just a couple of episodes. But I think it was mainly used for episode 3, because I remember I was trying to find it for the longest time, but I could never find it because, funny enough, it wasn't actually included in the soundtrack for Kill la Kill. 1, 2, 3, 4 down. But up here is a pathway, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to block that wall off when I get some stone, just because I think it would look better coming up from this side and you have like the pillars. I'll change the pillars probably to stone brick, and then I can use stairs arching across to make some arches going towards the cool spooky enchantments, you know, section. So I think that would look kind of nice. Also need some more slabs for this section, because I've kind of buggered it up, if you will. Kind of buggered it. I might go block that wall off. Maybe this wall too, considering, you know, I'd want it. I don't know how to explain it. I kind of want the wall to arc around there, just so it's like directly up, because that hole won't be there. That hole will just be blocked with another hole. You know, that'll separate the two rooms. Enchantment 1, 2, 3, 4. Greater than. Let's see. What's in here? There's wheat, carrots, potato, and sugar cane. And then here we have melon, pumpkin, and cactus, it's called. Potato and not tons, sugar cane. That's quite nice. Oh, it's doing that bloody thing again. I don't know what's wrong with that. Apparently it's the RAM usage, but like there's nothing wrong with the bloody RAM. Maybe Minecraft's set only to use a certain amount of RAM. It's the only thing I could think of. But I don't know, we managed to knock a few signs out of the park. They're fine, I can stay there. Stay there. Storage and farm. Farm and enchant. Bedroom. Which is this way. This bedroom's probably quite nice as well. I kind of want to get a silk touch pickaxe. Just so I can get some ores. Because I don't know, I left the coal ore here. I left it here anyway. But I don't know, I think it'd be quite nice looking if we put some ores around the base. Considering it's an underground base, it's inside of a mountain. And it's quite a big base. I can speak with you if you could hear my secret. I love the Kill la Kill soundtrack. There's a couple of like sad edgy song, but it's such a good soundtrack, you know. And I know it's just it's just anime for, you know, semi nude women sword fighting with giant scissors, and the story's pretty basic, but it's like I love the series, you know. And I know it sounds like bad. I'm a grown man. I like Kill la Kill, but it's oddly well written to a point where I don't know how to explain it without sounding like a right creep, but it's well written to the point of being about clothing overall, although it's just an excuse to have women sword fighting in little to nothing, if you will. I don't see it like that, don't get me wrong. I love the sword fighting, I love the fights are well choreographed, is what I'm saying. I need more Rickwood. I could tell it wasn't working because I pressed the escape key. I did it when I was playing with my mate Dakota the other day. I don't even want it there. Dun, 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 dun. I suppose we did use quite a bit of stone. I need to block that way off as well, but sod it, it's fine. It's quite a nice looking base if you think about it. I like it. It's probably one of the better bases I have built. That'll do. Let's see. I think that's a pretty smooth transition. It tends to jolt there, but that's fine. That's a good start, to be fair. Like, it looks neat. Best way I could describe it. Well, the best you can get is level 3 inch level. It's about these like one far too wide, I think. No, I think it looks better that way. Oh, I don't know. I can't actually hear what I'm saying, to be fair. Like, in regards to the fact that I know I mention it every stream, but I'm always listening it, because I know I'm always terrified about the audio not working, or like the stream going down and I've not realised. But usually with Twitch Studio, it comes up with a big fat red sign saying, you know, we've disconnected you, which is usually fine, because usually I notice it, and usually it pisses me off. But I think that's understandable, to be fair. Oh, imagine if someone turned to you and said, you know what, because your internet's a bit shite, we're just going to cut you off. But, oh well. So this is the way up to the enchantment now. Oh, I'm tempted to stick a block there, but then that does the same problem as that one. It's problematic. So how do you turn from a flat line to a curve? Like, without it looking fucking awful. I also need to redo the front area, but that can wait. For God's sake. Let's make some slabs, shall we? Slabs are always important. Slabs are always important. We'll probably give it 12 minutes. We'll see how we are in 12 minutes, see how tired we are. Because that might be where I pull the plug. Also, it's quite a nice break here, like wall-wise, because there's like all the gravelly bits. Like these can be removed; they can be replaced easily. I mean, hell, I don't know what I'm replacing these with. Mob spawner, maybe. That would ruin the rest of the mountain. I do need to make a mob spawner, just because it'd be quite useful, I think is the right way to call it. Oh well, from Soddle to something. All things considered, it's not looking horrible. Might push this section forward a tad, just so I can like build fence. I don't know. I really don't know. It always gets to this stage in like world building where you have no clue what to do. Oh, had a bit of jolting. I always end up running out of wood as well, so it's fun. So yeah, I've been listening. I've been spending a lot of time listening back across like the Zelda soundtrack, and I don't just mean Breath of the Wild as mentioned like earlier on in the stream, but because I've been in my free time, I've been replaying a bit of Spirit, Phantom Hourglass while laying in bed. I always get those two confused, by the way. But because I've been unwell recently, I've not been willing to leave my bed, and I've been awake at night. So, instead of streaming on my god awful Wi-Fi, I decided to replay Phantom Hourglass. Don't get me wrong, okay, I don't like the game, but I don't like it. And the reason for that is because it focuses. I know Spirit Tracks is mainly the worst for. They both are. They're both pretty bad, in my opinion. That is, but I don't want to break that one because it's got. No, this one doesn't have a beehive. But I'm gonna say it. But the main reason I dislike them is because of the touchscreen controls, and Spirit Tracks is worse off, personally speaking, than the other one, than Phantom Hourglass, because in the game you get you get the spirit pipes or whatever they're called. I can't remember them. There might have been the spirit pipes, but you get some wind pipes. Oh, cool! Like at that point in time, every recent version of Link around that era had an instrument of some kind. Because you had Ocarina of Time Link with the Fairy Ocarina, then the Ocarina of Time itself, and then you had, I forgot. You had a harping Oracle of Ages. I think it was Oracle of Ages. It was one of the Oracle games. It was Oracle of Ages that had the harp because Seasons had the Rod of Seasons, I think. Wind Waker, you had the actual Wind Waker Cell Conductor's baton. So it's like in a lot of Zelda games, you got musical instruments. So I guess it fits in with a theme. It's not the theme. Like it's not the main theme of Zelda to like give every iteration of Link an instrument. But I know it's like you had a flute in an original game, so I suppose it's like semi-valid at least. I don't know where this rant was going. Oh yeah, the bloody panpipes. Basically, they give Link a set of panpipes in Spirit Tracks, which is the next game I'll play afterwards, obviously, because Tracks 1, then the other, like directly after Wind Waker. But they kind of gives him the pipes with no reason really, other than a marketing strategy for the DS. I say marketing strategy, it's not, but it's just them saying, oh yeah, our DS not only has two screens, it has a touchscreen, which they used for motion, not motion controls, touchscreen controls. Just for the sake of it, really. Just say, oh yeah, we have them, we can do it. But then they said, we also have a microphone. So we're going to make it the next Zelda's gimmick, alongside it. And Spirit Tracks had enough of that in regards to part of it you've got to shout as loud as you can into the microphone in order to get the best deal. Like on, I believe it's the cannon attachment and then the salvage claw, which on the DS you've got to shout into the microphone. So you can't, if you're playing it in public, you can't progress because you're going to look like a right prick fucking screaming to your DS, in the middle of nowhere. And if you don't do it, you can't progress because you can't just make a little noise and they're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna charge you a smaller amount, no, we're gonna charge you a larger amount. Because they call you out on your bullshit and they tend to say, actually, you know what, we're not going to sell it to you, which is really great. Just great, isn't it? When you can't shout it loud because you're in public and so you can't progress in the game. But anyway, I do digress. But I don't know, the whole purpose of those games existing is just a marketing ploy to turn and say, oh yeah, we can do these on the DS, have a look at us go. And I don't know, part of me thinks it's really funny, part of me also thinks, for fuck's sake, now I've got to scream into the microphone. But it's the primary reason I dislike those games a great deal. It's just the sole reason of you need to do these things in order to progress. If you don't do it, you're not progressing. And it kind of pisses me off. Just because it means you have to do it. and if you don't do it, you're fucked. But I don't know. It's still slightly fun. Still a slightly fun game. I say slightly fun. It is still fun. It's just everything you do in the game feels not slightly off, but forced, if you will. It feels forced that you have to scream into the microphone. But I'm sure that makes sense to people. I'm sure it's not just me going insane-o. Oh, night, if you stay with me, honey. Wait for life now. Say all night, if you stay with me, honey. I didn't mean to do that. Let's see, I want to try and block this way off, but make it look nice. We can remove this sign as well, considering we're blocking the wall off. At least temporarily blocking the wall off. The good thing is they introduced the feature where you can crouch. That doesn't look natural at all, does it? What if I remove that? Stay all night if you stay with me, honey. Yeah, a bit of a sharp corner, but that's fine. It looks a bit better, I think. I hope. I'm always so nervous about like things looking right. In actual fact, it will never look right because I'm somewhat of a perfectionist. But like the lazy kind of a perfectionist. I'm into perfection, but if it doesn't look perfect, who cares? We can do it another day. Yeah, now we have a tour room where all the tours go. Let's see, to keep you next to me, feel the ocean. Oh, I love it. I've not heard Lunar Blue in a while. They're like they're a group, like not exactly new. They're like a few years old, but they're class to be honest as an indie band, an indie group. And I'm sure you haven't heard of them because well, this goes out to anyone. I'm sure nobody's really heard of them because they're just an indie group, really. But for an indie group, their music is really good, and I've been listening to them non-stop for a while, and I only stopped recently because well, I say nobody knows, but I've recently had issues with my phone because I set up my iPhone to work with iTunes on my new PC. But because iTunes is a bit of a bastard setup in regards to you set machines up as primary machines. However, if you go to set in order to send music to your iPhone, you have to do like manually manage music syncing on an iPhone, something like that. I forgot what it's called. But if you plug it into a new machine and you turn and say, "Hey, can you do this? Can you manually sync? Can you let me manually put music onto this device?" And they'll turn and say, oh yeah, that's fine. You do so and you lose all your music. Because although you've agreed to being able to manually pick music on the device, at the same point in time, it thinks, well, I believe at least it thinks, the music you didn't put on yourself. So it tries removing it. That just makes everything problematic. Because you're just trying to put your own music on your device, rather than going through iTunes, because iTunes is expensive. And they delete all your music. Which isn't good, needless to say. But I had that issue, so I lost all my music on my phone. And because I've been using a new YouTube account, like one set up for Neo the Dutchy, Neo Angel Dragon's YouTube account, which is also me, but because it's not my old YouTube account, it doesn't have my music playlists from my old YouTube. If that makes sense. So I only fell out of touch with Lunar Blue and my music tastes primarily because of iTunes itself. Or iTunes and YouTube, if you will. It's like some story time, Story time with Neo. Actually, talking about mentioning Neo, it reminded me, a mate of mine, good mate of mine, his name's Theo. I've mentioned him on stream before, I believe. Anyway, I've forgotten the story. Yeah, he once asked me about Neo. He turned and said to me, do you call him Neo because of Neo from the Matrix? And I'm like, as someone who's not actually seen the Matrix, being myself, obviously, someone who's not seen it, no. But oh well, need a drink. But anyways, I appreciate those that have come to stream. But I'll be ending here. I'll see you guys next stream. Ciao.